How's it going? Hi guys, Happy New Year. Welcome back to science. It's not an ideal way to be teaching science, but sure, it is what it is, and we'll make do. I'm sure they'll have us back in the lab as soon as they can, and when they do, then we'll have a lot of theory done now over the next couple of weeks through the online learning, and you'll have lots of practical stuff to do when you get back to the lab. Your exams are corrected. I finished your reports there the other night, and your grades for your exam and your continuous assessment and a comment is put in the report. I think they're due to go out later on in the week, so you'll get your exam results there. Obviously, we can't correct them because I have them here at home, so we'll correct them when we get back to school. We're going to keep going because we want to kind of not end up getting ourselves behind, and we want to get to where we need to get to by the end of May. So we'll do a good bit of the theory stuff over the next while. I like get you to do things like we've done before, like iMovies and pic collages, and maybe some write-ups and some questions and things like that. So we keep going, and we're going to start with a thing called human health. If you kind of started looking at a bit like viruses, bacteria, fungi, things like that. We're going to go and have a look at that, and I'll show you where they are now, right? So I'm just going to click out here for a second and into our OneNote. So you obviously have OneNote on your iPad, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to find the first year science group, so first year science 2020. And when you go in here, you've loads of these topics that we did before Christmas. But what I'm going to do is I'm after making a separate one down here, down the bottom here, called January 2020 Science. I'm going to click in there. And I have the first week, the second week, and the third week. So you have 3 weeks. And we're working here on the first week. So this is lesson 1 of week 1. Okay? And we're looking at human health. Okay? So basically, here, this thing here is what I take from the syllabus. So when they're writing the junior cert, they wrote out loads of these things called learning outcomes. And this is one of the learning outcomes here in biological world. The students should be able to evaluate how human health is affected by, there's 2 different things human health can be affected by. One is inherited factors, and the other one is environmental factors. So stuff you inherit from mum and dad, it's the inherited ones. And the environmental factors is everything else, most of which you can control. So we're going to go through a few of those: where you live, what you eat, how much you exercise, so on and so forth. So we're going to have a look at things like nutrition. We're going to have a look at things like the choices you can make in your life that affect your health, and look at the role then. This is what we kind of started doing before. We kind of had to start to have a look at fungi, bacteria, and viruses, and they're what we call microorganisms, small things that are alive, essentially. Okay, and the reason they put this on the course was that human health is obviously something that we think about and we talk about, and you probably heard things like the World Health Organization and NPHET, the Emergency Public Health Team. So people they're all interested in your health. And you've heard so much about it on the news over the last while. So I suppose the idea here is that you start thinking, well, I can control a lot of the environmental factors that affect my health now and might affect my health when I'm older. And you might make different choices about the way you live that can impact your health. So that's the, I suppose, beneficial reason for doing something like this. And it's one of the things that can come up in your junior cert. So what we're going to have a look at is we're going to define what's health. What is health? We talk about it, we say it all the time. What actually is health? We're going to identify and we're going to describe what are the environmental factors affecting our health and what are the inherited factors. So generally down here, there's not a terrible amount we can do about these fellas, about the inherited factors, because they're in your DNA, they're in your cells, they're in your body already. They're being inherited from your parents. Whereas these guys here, these environmental fellas up here, well, there probably is an awful lot we can do. We can decide only to have 4 battered sausage sandwiches a week as opposed to 6. Things like that. We can decide maybe we're not going to smoke. We can decide that we'll try and eat that extra piece of broccoli off the plate, and that could have some impact in your health. We're going to have a look at the importance of correct nutrition. So we did a bit on that. We did a balanced diet. You all drew out your food pyramid. You drew out your 3-day diet. But the importance of correct nutrition on your overall health, mental and physical. And look at a few lifestyle choices that have an impact on our health. So what choices can you make that could impact our health? Okay, a bit of the lingo Yeah, I'd say you've heard a good bit about these guys over the past while. Every time you turn the news now, you hear about the World Health Organization say this about the virus and say that, and the World Health Organization advised that you do social distancing and all this kind of stuff. But that's what WHO stands for, World Health Organization. And so we said before, the environmental and the inherited are two factors that affect human health. And it's important that we're aware of our physical and mental health. So it's important that you're aware of what are you eating, what kind of exercise are you taking, how are you feeling, and what steps can you take? So what positive steps can you take today that might help you maintain good physical and mental health, or might help you improve your physical and mental health? I know Miss Fennessy sending out a 21-day challenge. It might be a case you throw on the Fitbit or get an app on the phone, and you're improving your physical and mental health starting today by doing 10,000 steps a day or 12,000 steps a day, or a 20-minute jog or something like that, and you feel all the better for it. Okay, we'll just go into this briefly now. Down the line, probably next week, we'll have a look at genetics and go into how genes work, how cancers form, how you inherit different characteristics, why you're 50% your mum and 50% your dad, yet you're the spit of one of them. And you don't have any, you have your dad's nose but your mum's ears and this kind of stuff, and why these things happen and so on. But these are the basics here. Our health is often dictated by by enzymes. When we had a look at enzymes in digestion, by hormones, and by genes. So you might think that genetic information is passed on, but there's a bit of hormones in there as well, and enzymes that are inherited. So you've no control over that. Your hormones are passed on, your genes are passed on, and nothing you can do can really change that. If you take people who are allergic to lactose, people who can't drink milk, there's no choice that they've made that made them lactose intolerant, because that's inherited. Same as a type 1 diabetic. There's no choice that they made. They didn't eat too much sugar that made them a type 1 diabetic. It was passed on in their genes. It was inherited. So for a person who's lactose intolerant, this enzyme here, remember amylase was the enzyme we used before. Usually enzymes end with A's. So lactase in this case, in this instance, breaks down lactose. So lactase breaks down lactose in the same way amylase broke down starch. And during puberty, teenagers are said to be hormonal. Have you heard that before? Teenagers are said to be hormonal, and they are. That's because during puberty, bones change shape. You get different growths. You probably grow about 2 or 3 foot. There's lots of changes, and that what drives those changes is enzymes that are inherited from your parents. So if hormones are going up and going down, and to make these changes happen, it's going to affect a person's mood. It's going to affect their hormones and so on. Okay, so they're just basic inherited ones, and we'll have a look at different genetic stuff over the next while, and look at the way different genes manifest themselves in a person as they grow. These ones are ones that we can control. So where a person lives, so there might be a case where you live in an area that has loads of pollution in the air, where it has loads of cars flying around the place. Or you might live in a countryside that hasn't got that. So whereabouts a person lives might be a factor that could impact their health. So where they live could be one. What they eat, or how much they eat. So if you decide that you're binge eating broccoli, that probably doesn't matter how much you eat of it. Whereas if you are eating lots and lots of something that is high in saturated fat, well, that could impact your health. Or if you're not eating enough, that's just as dangerous. The people that you interact with, you know at the moment that the less people you interact with, the better, because there could be things passing from one person to the next. The amount of physical activity is obviously very important. For not just so you get big strong arms and legs and you're fit as a fiddle and you have a 6-pack or an 8-pack or whatever it is now, but to keep the heart, keep the lungs, all those activities, to keep the muscles strong and fit and keep you mobile, the amount of physical activity is important. I'm not saying you have to be running marathons twice a day. That's too tiring. None of us want to be in that. But a good amount of physical activity, what they say 30, 40 minutes of a brisk walk a day is recommended. Obviously, your lifestyle choices, so things you can make that can really impact your health. We obviously did a keynote on smoking. And smoking, there just isn't really any good. We tried to look for them, but it was difficult to find any good parts for smoking. But obviously, use of drugs, and I don't just mean the illegal ones that we'll look at in transition year when we do illegal chemistry. I mean, even the ones you can get over the counter, too much of them is a bad thing. Alcohol, too much alcohol is a bad thing. And I'm not going to say too much smoking, because really any smoking is a bad thing. So you know yourself. But they're all these here are environmental factors that you might be able to take control of to make yourself healthier. Okay, so in nutrition, we drew this out. We drew a balanced diet and we drew the food pyramid. So a balanced diet prevents obesity and other health-related issues. So the reason you have a balanced diet, if you keep your diet balanced, you lower your risk of disease. All the nasties, heart attacks, stroke, blood clots, brain hemorrhages, all that kind of thing are lowered by keeping a balanced diet. And the outside ones, the ones you might spot, you won't spot if your heart's getting weak, your heart's getting diseased, but you will spot that if you have a balanced diet, you get stronger muscles and stronger bones. And you get a healthy body mass, a healthy body weight, which is obviously important. The way you do that, but by looking at your serving size. So portion sizes have increased in the last number of years. We seem to be having larger amounts of food, and our body has not evolved far enough to cope with these larger amounts of food. This has led to an increase in obesity, even in people like yourselves, in children. And that will put pressures on yourself, and it also, we're always hearing the news now about the Irish health system and the trolley crisis and not having enough beds and things like that, because people are becoming sicker younger because of the lifestyle choices that they make. Okay, you've seen this a couple of times. You have the food pyramid. So what we need is a specific amount of all food types. Specific amount of all food types. Down the bottom here, you have your breads and your potatoes and your cereals, and most meals would have one of those. The trick is to get a couple of portions of fruits and veg in there as well. So you're only eating a slight less bit of fruit and veg as opposed to bread, cereals and potatoes. It's usually easy to get your bread, cereals and potatoes, but is it as easy to get your fruit and veg? A smaller amount of milk, cheese and dairy. Even smaller amount of meat, fish, or tofu if you don't eat those like myself. And up the top then, the dodgy ones, your fats, your oils, sweets, all those kind of things. So you should, if you're eating a good few sweets, then you need to really up your intake of your breads and your pastas and your fruits and your veg. So the food pyramid, for definition wise, gives us a rough idea of a number of servings per day of each type of food. And if we decide that we're going to eat a lot of here or a lot of here, well then these are going to have a higher proportion of all the nasties, the sugar, the salt, the fat, all the lovely things in life. And what's going to happen is then it's going to mess around with your body mass index. It's going to it's going to make you put on weight, and then you get all those related conditions later in life which you want to avoid. So again, this is all about making healthy choices now. Okay, we eat food because food provides us with energy. And I got you to bring in the packets from food, and we looked at the different how much kilojoules of energy per gram is in is in the different types of food that you brought in. Fats have the highest kilojoule per gram on average. So usually we say carbohydrates produce energy, but really fats have the highest kilojoules per gram, so the most energy in them. And they have to. All food companies have to put that on. They don't want to tell you that, but they have to put that on there so you can have a look at every single packet in the supermarket. You can say, well, how much energy is in it? How much fat's in it? How much carbohydrate? How much sugar is in it? And all that is there for you. So here's a random packet here. you have energy, protein, carbohydrate, fat, fiber, and some salt. So if you think, well, typical value per 100 gram, then you can look along here and see, well, how much of each type of nutrient is there per 100 gram. And on every packet as well, you're going to get one of these here, a pizza, which is yum. But in this particular pizza, if you think, right, you're dealing with fat and saturated fat, 20% fat, of which 35% is saturated fat. So you can have a look at the different types. This always has 15% is going to be salt, and 17% is going to form energy. Okay, so you can figure out how much is in each one based on the type of, based on the labels. Okay, a couple of lifestyle factors. Being active generally prevents a number of health issues. So the more active you are, the less likely you are to suffer from heart disease, diabetes and stroke. I know difficult for an 11, 12, 13-year-old to worry about these kind of things that don't seem to happen till way down the future. But generally, if you make a habit now, that'll stick with you later on, and it'll avoid all these kind of things that we worry about later on in life. I'm not going to go on too much more about smoking. You know yourself, just don't do it. Half of all smokers die from a smoking-related disease, things like lung cancer. Smoking is addictive, so once you go down that road, it's difficult to come back and get off the cigarettes. But luckily enough, and which is great news for the world, is that it's become less cool. It's become kind of, stigmatized now, which is great, because we all searched and tried to find good things about smoking, and I think we all struggled. It's expensive. It causes all sorts of problems. And you can't even do it indoors anymore. So I would suggest just not give that one a miss if you can at all. Okay, so just a quick recap, right? We're not finished at all. We haven't really looked at the inherited factors yet, but we can know we know what our health is. It's a mixture of environmental and genetic factors and inherited factors. We had a look at the various environmental factors. We've had a look at the various inherited factors, and I gave you a few examples of those. We had a look at the food pyramid and balanced diet to look at correct nutrition. And we could identify 3 lifestyle choices that have an impact on our health. I think we could. 3 things that you could change or not do that would have an impact on our health and make us healthier down the line when you get to an age where these conditions could become an issue. Bit of a video here for you to take a look at. It's just a nice little video on balanced diet. It's only about 5 minutes long on YouTube for you to have a look at. So you can click that link in the OneNote, and hopefully if you can't find the OneNote, or you're stuck, or you don't know what to do, just shoot me an email. I'm on the email all day, so you can shoot me an email if you're stuck, you're not sure what to do. And bear in mind now, I'm posting this. I'm going to post this now Monday afternoon, because that's when the class would be on, or Tuesday morning in the case of McGrath. But this does not have to be done until Wednesday evening into Thursday morning. So you have lots of time to do this. And the 2 things I want you to do, I want you to create a pic collage that shows all of the environmental impacts, things that you're eating, drinking, that could be impacting your health in a positive or negative way. And I would also, in that pic collage, put the things in there that you're currently doing that you think could be impacting your health in a positive way and in a negative way. So you might have pictures, and for the positive stuff, you might have pictures of I don't have pictures of you. It could be pictures off Google Images of some running, or if you do gymnastics, or you do dancing or football, and they're all things that are impacting your mental health and your physical health in a positive way. And then on the other side, then have some negatives. What are you doing that might be impacting your physical or mental health? Is it too much video games? Too much sitting down on the couch? Is it too much selection boxes, or pizza sandwiches, or whatever you're doing that could be impacting your health in a positive or in a negative way? And just put together a pic collage based on that. Again, that's due Wednesday, Thursday. The second one, I want you to write out a list of fungal, viral and bacterial infections. So this isn't something that we've done. So you're going to have to start by researching that. Look up, and this is something we started in the collaboration space before Christmas, a list of fungal, viral and bacterial infections that can have a negative impact on human health. And then the next day, what we're going to do is we're going to look at our list of viral infections and have a deeper look into a couple of different infections that affect human health. And then finally, we're going to go back to genetics and we're going to have a look at the inherited factors and some of the stuff that can be in your DNA that you cannot control, that were passed on to you and are in every cell in your body, and may impact your health positively or may impact your health negatively. So we're going to look at the genetic factors and we're going to look at this fungal, viral and bacteria. So you have two things for homework: your picolage of your environmental impacts, and you're going to research and write a list of fungal, viral and bacterial. I would say in total for these two, 45 minutes. Okay, so give half an hour for your picolage and then do your research and write your list. When you have the picolage and list finished, upload them to the homework section here on OneNote. So if I go back out here, and when you go out to your OneNote, you'll have this section here with collaboration space and content library. And when you go down, now I have all your names. I have loads of names in here, but you will have just your name. And when you click into your name, so if I click into a name here, there'll be a homework space. So when I click the homework space, there'll be a blank space there, and you paste your homework into your own homework space. And I'll have a look at them before we have a class on Thursday. Okay. Right, so thanks very much, and I'll talk to you again. Best of luck with the activities, and any problems at all, you just give me a shout and I'll get back to you quite quickly. Okay, see you guys, bye-bye.